Hello and good morning. I'm Holly reporting to you live from 𝐾𝐈 Studio, and you're watching The Early Trade, a show where we share with you a glimpse at the Australian share market opening trade landscape along with the global and domestic drivers triggering the market momentum. Well, in our first segment of the show today, we'll be looking at how the early morning trades panned out, taking cues from Wall Street action overnight. Then in the last segment, we'll be looking at the prominent newsmakers grabbing the headlines during the early trade hours, as well as movement seen in the cryptocurrency, crude oil, gold and metals indices. The Australian share market opened in green today after the US Labor Department reported further market recovery. The top performing stocks in the ASX 200 today are Suncorp Group Limited and Charter Hall Long. The S&P 500 index and the Dow Jones Industrial Average ticked up after the Labor Department reported strong jobs growth in July. But the Nasdaq Composite declined as tech heavyweights wavered. The S&P 500 was up 0.17%, whereas the Dow Jones gained 0.41% and the Nasdaq Composite fell 0.40%. It's worth noting here that of the 446 S&P 500 companies which have reported quarterly earnings this session, 86% of them have topped analyst forecasts. On Friday, 6 of the index's 11 segments stayed in green. And to touch on financials and basic materials stocks, they advanced, but consumer discretionary and tech stocks, on the other hand, withdrew. The Nasdaq, however, edged lower after tech giants like Amazon, Microsoft and Apple retreated. Moving on, and the US unemployment rate dropped 5.4% in July from 5.9% in June. From the data coming in on the non-farm payrolls, it showed a clear recovery as the payrolls rose 943,000 from 938,000 in June, as demand for workers rose in the services industry. On the monetary policy front now, and the Federal Reserve is expected to meet again to discuss its monetary policy in Wyoming later this month, following a similar meeting in mid-July. The reason why this Fed conference will be focused upon by investors is that some board members had recently backed a rollback of stimulus due to rising inflation. And in corporate news, AIG stock surged a whopping 4.90% in the intraday trading after reporting its second quarter earnings, as it had beaten analyst expectations. The company's total revenue jumped 2.3% year over year to $11.99 billion. And up next comes Zynga with a surge in second quarter revenue of 59% year over year to $711.9 million. The stock slipped about 17% though. And it looks like veganism and other sustainable plant-based diets are here to stay, because Beyond Meat's shares performed very well, as the company's second quarter net revenue rose by 31.8% to $149.9 million year over year. As a result, the stock jumped more than 2.4% in the intraday trading after the earnings report came out. To the tech stocks now, which have powered down as Microsoft declined 0.49% and Apple dropped 0.78%, as well as Amazon.com too, which fell 1.16%. In the financial stocks, it's quite the opposite, as Berkshire Hathaway gained 1.71%, JP Chase & Co. rose 2.47%, and Bank of America Corp increased by 3.02%. Some other financial stocks on our radar today are Wells Fargo, which advanced 3.55%, whereas PayPal plunged 0.73%. Although some more losers in basic materials stocks, BHP Group declined 0.74%, Newmont Corp fell 2.08%, and Barrick Gold dropped 1.65% as well. And it's time now for a short break, but stay tuned with 𝐾𝐈 TV. Tune in to stay updated while on the move.
We will tell you where the crypto craze has reached,
Where the property market is headed next.
what the world is doing to become more environmentally friendly.
Apart from tracking the daily market charter.
Be on top of the latest news and announcements.
With 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV.
Hi there, James Preston for 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV. Are you into gaming and virtual reality? Does AI and the endless possibilities it entails capture your interest? Or are you constantly trawling through the web to try and discover the latest updates and innovations in the tech space? Well, let us do the work for you. From the latest product launches to shocking affairs on the World Wide Web, exclusive interviews and information about the top companies like Apple and Google to brand new tech startups vying for your attention. 𝐊𝐴𝐴's Tech Beat has the latest in what matters in the world of technology. Join me every single Monday on the Tech Beat, exclusive to 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV.
Welcome back, I'm your host Holly, live from 𝐊𝐴𝐴 Studio, and you're watching The Early Trade, where we share with you a glimpse at the Australian share market opening trade landscape. Moving on now to our last segment of the show, let's quickly look at the highlights of the prominent ASX stocks under the spotlight during the early trades. First on our list is insurance company Insurance Australia Group, whose chairman Elizabeth Bryan will be succeeded by Tom Pockett. Pockett is currently the chairman of Stockland and Autosports Group. At the forthcoming annual general meeting, Director Duncan Boyle will also retire. Next up is Diversified Financial Services MyState's Managing Director and Chief Executive Mitos Sulik will be retiring at the end of the year. He served the company for more than 7 years, and the company will soon commence the process of appointing another successor. Moving on now, and Integrated Property Group Charter Hall operating earnings grew 30.5% to $159 million in the financial year 21 compared to the last year. A growth of 3.2% to 29.2 cents has been seen on a per stapled security basis. The REIT's net tangible assets climbed 16.8% to $5.22 per unit in the reported period. And meanwhile, accounting group Kelly Partners Group Holdings has reported a jump of 15.1% to $4.6 million in net profit in the financial year 21, while sales have risen by 7.5% to $48.9 million. For the year, the company has declared a 10% higher dividend at 5.32 cents per share. And lastly, Aurizon, Australia's largest freight operator, is carrying some heavy weight as underlying net profit has risen by a mere 1% to $533 million in the financial year 21, while sales have dropped 1.5% to $3.6 billion. Despite an almost unchanged net profit, the company hiked its financial dividend payout by 10% to 14 cents per share. And everything's coming up crypto in the digital currency sphere, as Coinbase gained 1.47%, whereas Bitcoin surged 4.04% and Ethereum rose 3.64%. Looking at the futures and commodities now, and gold futures were down 2.58%, silver saw a decrease of 3.91%, and copper dropped 0.30% as well. Meanwhile, Brent oil futures decreased by 1.16%, and WTI crude was down 1.51%. Moving on now to the bond market, which jumped to massive highs. The 30-year Treasury bond yields were up 4.94%, while the 10-year bond yields rose 7.26%. And in the currency space, the US dollar futures index increased by 0.58% as well. Well, that's just about all for now on the early morning trades. Stay tuned with 𝐊𝐚𝐥 TV as we have many more shows lined up for you, sharing live updates across the economy, markets and sectors. Holly Shields signing off.